What comes to your mind when you think or hear the name Will Smith? Superstar? Action hero? Super rich? Hollywood celebrity? Great dad? Rich, and rich? Yes, you are absolutely correct. Will Smith is all of these and more. But today, while we may be sharing some of the high points of Will's career, we are focusing on the stumbling blocks he had to navigate, the mountains he had to climb, and the walls he had to break down to get to where he is now. I tell you, Will Smith had some challenges that could have easily gotten him to give up and not be where he is today. It's never easy. Anyone who is successful made a conscious decision to pay the price for what they want. You are watching The Process on Stage Than TV, where we discuss how the celebrities made it, what they went through that you never saw or never heard about. These are the things that built them, and you can learn so much from our videos. Please, if you have not subscribed to our channel, this is the time to do so. Just click on the red subscribe button below. Thank you for subscribing. Will Smith was born on September 25, 1968, in a children's hospital in Winfield, Philadelphia as Willard Christopher Smith II. Will was the second of 4 children. He has an older sister, Pam, and a younger brother and sister, Ellen and Harry, who are twins. His father, Will, whom he was named after, was a U.S. Air Force veteran who also owned a business that installed and repaired refrigeration units in grocery stores. His mother is Caroline, and she was a school administrator who worked for the Philadelphia School Board. His parents were not rich, but Will's mother wanted her children to attend the Roman Catholic school because it was the best one in the area. She did that because she believed deeply that they needed a good education to succeed in life. She and Will's father put a lot financially into the education of Will and his siblings. Will attended Our Lady of Lourdes from kindergarten through 8th grade. Will was quite smart that he did not have to work hard to get decent grades. Getting good grades also helped to make his parents, especially his father, happy with him. Will revealed much later in his adult life that his father had an abusive relationship with his mum. He says part of his reason for developing a funny character was because he grew up in an abusive home. My father was violent in my house. So a part of the whole creation of Will Smith, the joking, fun, silly, was to make sure that my father was entertained enough not to hurt my mother or anybody in the house. As a little boy, my father beat my mother and I couldn't protect her. Female disapproval is unbearable and my body can't handle it, he said. Being unable to stop his father's violence against his mom caused Smith to struggle with feelings of inadequacy as a little boy. This caused him to develop unhealthy defense mechanisms that impacted his personal life and his professional career. So when someone comes at me like that, the little boy is fully in that space, and I would perform and dance and tell jokes, right? People laughing and people having fun was my defense mechanism. The Men in Black star says, at the same time, he grew up believing that if he hurt people first, they couldn't hurt him. According to him, if I cut you bad enough, you wouldn't be able to respond, he said. Smith's childhood wounds affected his relationships with women. He called a woman's disapproval the central greatest pain in his life. I think because of my dynamic with my mother, for years, Smith misinterpreted a woman's disapproval as a loss of love. That's absolutely my central wound. In the last 3 years, I've been seeing it and confronting it more effectively, he shared. Will spent his first 9 years in school in classes that were almost all white. He encountered some racism from fellow students, and a Catholic nun who taught in the school once called him a nigger. Although other whites had already used that racial slur for African Americans to hurt him, he was surprised a teacher would use the hateful word. Will's father may have been abusive, but Will acknowledges the love and lessons that he learned from his father. Will's dad was a hard worker who believed in doing a job to perfection. When Will was 15 years old, his father ordered him and Harry, his younger brother, to rebuild a brick wall that carries the signage for his business. Will and his brother worked for almost a year before completing the job, using up a whole summer, winter, and fall. They tore down the wall brick by brick and then put it back up. Will hated the work because it was hard and the job seemed to be advancing only one brick at a time. But later on in his adult life, Smith explained how proud he was when he finally finished the job and how it taught him about the need to persevere to achieve anything he wanted. "My dad told me and my brother, 'Now don't you all ever tell me you can't do something.' I look back on that a lot of times in my life when I think I won't be able to do something, and I tell myself, one brick at a time." The self-confidence Will gained from that experience and the loving support he always got from his family made him brave enough to tackle any challenge that faced him in the future. The first challenges came when his life changed drastically after his parents divorced. Will's parents divorced when he was 13. Although they had always showered their children with love, Will's mother and father had trouble loving each other. They argued a lot, and Will Smith never felt his parents were happy together. When they split up, he was more relieved than saddened. The 4 children were taken by his mum to live with her mother, Helen Bright, in a house not far from their old one. Despite the divorce, Will's dad continued to support his children and play an important role in their lives. The divorce occurred in 1982, at about the same time that Will began going to Overbrook High School in West Philadelphia. Even though Will had been attending a white school, he had no trouble fitting in with his new African American classmates because he had lived in a black neighborhood. Once again, his ability to make people laugh helped make everyone like him. Even his teachers admired his joking ways, and some of them began calling him Prince Charming, which his friends shortened to Prince. Will later added Fresh to his high school nickname. Thus was born the name Fresh Prince, the name that Will would make famous as a rapper. One reason why Will fit in at his new school was that he shared the passion other students had for a new type of music that was sweeping the nation: rap. Will began making up rap songs and practicing them in the basement of his family's home and with his friends. He started writing in the basement, not in a top producer's studio with diamond chains on his neck and Benz parked outside to drive him to his penthouse at a 5-star hotel. He had nothing but the gift of rapping, a passion to see it happen, and a supportive family that had just gone through a difficult separation. The lyrics that Will wrote for the songs, however, soon got him into trouble with his grandmother. When she read some of the songs her grandson had written, she became angry because they were loaded with swear words, language that was common in rap music. "When I first started writing rap, at 12, I used expletives and 4-letter words, because that's what rap was. My grandmother got a hold of my rap book, and wrote in the back, 'Dear Willard, truly intelligent people do not have to use these types of words to express themselves.' We've never talked about it, but from that day on, I didn't use those words." Will's grandmother's advice helped shape his performing future because the songs that would make him popular were not laced with profanities. Will started performing the songs at parties and in informal competitions with other would-be rappers, and he later liked to brag that he won every competition. The moment that changed Will's path was when he was introduced to Jeffrey Towns, popularly called DJ Jazzy Jeff, who was throwing a party close to Smith's house in 1985. Towns was missing his hype man. Will took this opportunity and saved the day. They decided to develop a stage act and began performing at parties and church functions as DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. People liked them so much that local clubs began hiring them to play for their customers. Smith sang the lyrics to their rap songs and Towns handled the musical accompaniment, which included playing instruments and scratching records to make strange noises that accented their songs. The Will Smith and Jeffrey Towns meeting at the party was an opportunity that met preparation. Will had been performing in-house to family, friends, schoolmates, and some parties. So, when the opportunity for a bigger stage performance showed up, Will took it wholeheartedly. Probably with some thought of what if I mess up, but he was too prepared to let go. He knew what he wanted, and even though he had no direct preparation for this party, Will stepped in, and that began the journey. How many people would let up such an opportunity because they are afraid of messing up? Will was in that shoe too. He was afraid of messing up, but fear motivated him into courage, and the rest, they say, is history. Whatever you are trying to become, if you know what you want, what are you doing about it right now, preparing yourself for the opportunity that will set you up for life? Will Smith and Jazzy Jeff's first record, Girls Ain't Nothing But Trouble was released just before Smith graduated high school. Smith later became a nationally known rapper before graduation. Girls Ain't Nothing But Trouble was such a hit in 1986 that local radio stations began playing it. The song got nationwide airplay on radio stations, and it sold thousands of copies. You would say finally, Smith is home free. But the song's success was the subject of a major disagreement with his parents, which made them unhappy with Will. His parents wanted him to go to college, but he believed his future was in writing and performing rap songs. Even though Smith had not worked as hard as he could in school, he had still been a good student. What made his choice for his future much harder was that he had been offered a scholarship to the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. The success Smith was having, and the self-confidence he had that he could continue to make hit records led him to choose a musical career over college. When Smith told his parents what he wanted to do, they were unhappy because they thought it would be a big mistake not to go to college. His mother, who valued education, was especially upset. My father was a bit more understanding. They eventually agreed that I would take a year making music, and if it did not work out, I would go to college. His parents let him do what he wanted because they knew he would be unhappy if he did not. But even though Smith decided not to go to college, he still believed education was important. He even admitted once that graduating from high school on June 17, 1986, was one of the greatest achievements of his life. Along with his success and at a young age, Will underpaid his income taxes in 1988 and 1989. The Internal Revenue Service noticed this and assessed $2.8 million in tax debt against him. $2.8 million in debt, and everyone at that time would have thought Will Smith had it all. He was almost broke at this point. You can imagine what he went through back then, looking for the hustle that can put him back on track and the need to get it fast. Will Smith must have been desperate and afraid of failing. Under pressure to pay his back taxes, Will signed with NBC television network in 1990 to be the lead in a new sitcom, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. The show was a hit, and with this opportunity, he started his acting career. But the fans saw none of that. They only saw another chance at the spotlight, but for Will Smith, it was a lifesaver. One that he desperately begged for and needed. Will Smith was struggling financially in 1990 when the NBC television network signed him. That is the truth. Smith had gained widespread fame as the rapper The Fresh Prince, and with that fame came money. Unfortunately, Will did not manage his money wisely or pay enough in income taxes. That was what led to owing the government $2.8 million. The IRS seized most of his belongings, including his income. The Fresh Prince almost declared bankruptcy until producer Quincy Jones picked him to star in the new series, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Smith said, "Me and Jazzy Jeff had come out with a smash hit. We made a bunch of money, we won a Grammy, the album was triple platinum. I had motorcycles and cars. I called the Gucci store in Atlanta, and I was like, hey, will you close it down if I bring my friends? And I'm smiling, but that's stupid. We released our next album and it was a flop. It was a tragedy, it went double plastic. I had spent all my money and I didn't forget, but I didn't pay the IRS. The IRS took all that stuff, so I was broke. Being famous and broke is a bad combination because you are still famous and people know you, but they recognize you while you're sitting next to them on the bus." In trouble and hopeless, his then-girlfriend suggested Smith just hang around Paramount near the Arsenio Hall show studios, in hopes of meeting someone influential. Listening to his girlfriend led him to the home of Quincy Jones, who asked him to audition on the spot. Speaking of the impromptu audition, Will said, "I just went ahead and damn the consequences. I said yes and I let it rip, and I got to the end and everyone's clapping." His performance impressed everyone, and Quincy Jones quickly demanded his lawyers draw up a contract for Smith to play the lead in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. The two-time Academy Award nominee concluded by saying that people should always say yes when the opportunity comes and they should listen to their girlfriends. Will's moves were not always the right ones. A very terrible decision Will Smith made later in his acting career was declining the role of Neo in the Matrix movie because he decided to go for the movie Wild Wild West, which wasn't successful. But did that stop Will? No. After the flop of Wild Wild West, and seeing how successful Matrix made Keanu Reeves, Will turned the disappointment into positive energy and went on to make movies like I, Robots, Pursuit of Happiness, I Am Legend, Men in Black 3, Aladdin, and Bad Boys for Life. Did I say, Aladdin grossed over $1 billion worldwide, becoming Will's highest-grossing film, surpassing Independence Day. You fail does not make you a failure. Get up, pick the ball and throw again. Another bad move Will came to terms with recently was how he brought his unhealthy defense mechanisms to the set of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, where he felt threatened by former co-star Janet Hubert. Janet was the original Aunt Viv on the series. She was replaced amidst reports of a feud between her and Will Smith. Speaking recently, Will said, Janet was Juilliard trained. Janet can sing, she can dance, she can act, she's brilliant, and she was in The Parental Figure, right? So my little boy desperately needed her approval, Smith recalled. So, on the little boy and me level, with Janet, I needed mommy to think I was great, and then once I realized that she didn't, my dragon woke up, he added. The duo recently talked about their rift for the first time during a cast reunion. I wanted us to seek healing, and I knew the first phase of that healing was me understanding what she experienced, so I asked Janet to sit down with me, said Smith. We have seen the process. The fire. The mess and transformation. Now let's have a sneak look at the gold Will Smith has become. The success stories. Fresh Prince and DJ Jazzy Jeff received their first Grammy Award for Best Rap Performance in 1989 for Parents Just Don't Understand. Today at 52 years old, Will Smith's net worth is estimated at $350 million, making him one of the richest actors in the world. Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith took the definition of the dream house to a new level. Their $42 million home in Calabasas, California, is so big it has its own zip code. It has golf courses, basketball court, swimming pool and a lake. Will Smith's collection of cars include Cadillac Escalade made in 1965, a Bentley Azure, and a red Ford Mustang convertible. They also share the garage with a Mercedes-Benz GL 450, a Maybach 57S, and a Ford Taurus. Will Smith also owns a $2.5 million mobile home with 1,200 square foot, 14 TVs. The devices inside the motorhome are worth $125,000. In 2011, Smith bought part of the 76ers NBA team from his hometown, Philadelphia. He and his wife have created the Will and Jada Smith Family Foundation to help underprivileged children and their families. But all these happened because he allowed himself go through the process. It was tough, but he submitted himself to fires, bringing out the gold in him. You have been watching The Process on Stage Them TV. Please subscribe to our channel and click the bell notification so you can know when we release a new video. Remember to like, comment and share the video with your friends. Thank you for watching.